$733 million
Right.
tax increase. Now, you state it doesn't make sense to raise taxes during an economic period like we have now, but that's just not your opinion, is it, Brent?
No, I just made that up. No, I actually saw the president say, President Obama said it. He was in a speech in August, this August, saying the last thing we want to do is raise taxes in the middle of recession.
Yeah.
And here, not only did we raise taxes, but the legislators decided to slam Oregon with the biggest tax increase it's ever seen. Boy, I cannot make sense of the public policy and how that's a good thing. And there's just one more number. I know numbers kind of freak some people out, but with this tax increase, if we vote yes, it's estimated that 37% increase in the amount of money taken out of Oregon businesses in this biennium versus last biennium. So you got this 2-year budget, and then the current one, 37% more. That's just way too big a jump in a horrible economy and a horrible recession to think that you could take 37% more money out of the business sector. Even if you believe in higher taxes for business, if you believe in that, someone's got to look sideways at the fact that this is the wrong time to be dumping such a huge burden on them all at once.
Well, I think it's worth pointing out, too, when you're confused by that sort of action by the legislature, that in this same legislative session, there was a transportation package that came out of the session that all parties agreed to. Now, that in itself is a phenomenal thing, because you have some tremendous advocates for transportation and users of that system that typically and historically have not seen eye to eye, and if something comes out, one of them just kills it.
Right.
Well, there was the process that brought them all together to create a package that is moving forward with the support of players that usually are on opposite sides. So now we get to the tax policy, and as Brent referred to earlier, it was a policy that was driven without that same legislative process that was basically shoved down the throats of all Oregonians. And it does have to make somebody step up and go, what's going on here? Because there was something not right at all about that process. And it's unfortunate in many ways that we are in a position where camps are divided and have to vote on something like this when it didn't have to be. If we had had better leadership out of the governor's office and the legislative leaders, we could have come together. And personally, I was involved in that coalition that said we will stand beside the governor and those that would want to do something to make sure we have a bridge to a better time and not get our state in a position of being so divisive.
Yeah, I think there are a couple things that make that particularly egregious. And one is, and to your point, it's just wonderful. One is the gross receipts, and we hit on this earlier. And they didn't get buy-in from the state. They didn't get buy-in from the citizenry, and they're not really wanting citizens to figure it out. To institute a brand new type of taxation to Oregon, in a one-party fashion like that, was really egregious in my mind.
Kathy, final thoughts from you and recommendations or observations that you would like to leave viewers with as they need to take that ballot that is vote by mail, so
yes,
people have to sit down at their kitchen counter and fill that out and send it back in. Any final thoughts that you have?
Well, I'd like them, they've listened to what we had to say today, and as Brent said, it's there was no coalition here. There really wasn't. There wasn't parties talking to each other on both sides. It was pretty much ramrodded through, and it's really going to hurt a lot of our small businesses. I'd hate to see more go under. We've seen a lot of unemployment in this state. It's going to make it worse. Those of us who are out there in the working world are going to have less in our pocket now. So I'd really just like them to do some thoughtful looking at this and realize that it's really not the best way to increase the taxes. Businesses should be taxed. I mean, that's just a fact of life. That's how we run our governments. But this is not the best way. There's a better way, and we really do need to come together here early in 2010 and figure out a better way to do this.
Well said. And Brent, you're someone that makes perfect sense to be involved as you are in this effort, since you and others like you have been kind of swept out and discounted as somebody that won't be affected, but you will be, and it'll hit you hard, and your peers that are in your same situation, as well as we talked about all community residents that pay higher costs. Your final thoughts?
Well, you're absolutely right. I'm a small businessman. 15 employees at a gas station, and our state runs on small business, so we can't be in a public policy mode of hurting a small business. I want people to vote no. I want people to attend the legislature. You weren't smart about this. There are other options. I don't want people's decisions to be based on fear. I want them to know the facts. I want to know how deeply this affects small business and large business, how much it's going to affect our ability to fund state services in the ensuing years. That's what's critical, but not to be run by fear, but get down and get to the facts. How much do they do? What effect is it going to have? What kind of small business are going to be affected? I'm going to be faced with higher taxes on years I'm losing money. It's been bad with the economy and the high gas prices, and I don't profit from that. I don't profit from it, but this tax policy would have me pay for it. So I want people to be educated. I'm glad they're watching the show. Go out and get the facts about it, and don't be fooled into thinking there's no other way, because the legislature's going into session in February, and they have other options, and we were at the table. That was the other egregious point I completely forgot to make. There were other options on the table, and the business community did step up, Mike. They did step up, and they said, we will help us get through the session, and they were dismissed.
And there you have it. The track record of the Salem Area Chamber of Commerce is very clear. We've been there for our local schools in passing bond measures. We've been there for the city's streets and bridges. We've been there for public safety and fire bonds. We've been there for our Chemeketa Community College. That record is clear. We are there for those services, and we will be there in the future. There is a better way. We urge your no vote on Measures 66 and 67 on January 26th. Thank you for joining us, and help us keep Salem on the move.